safe? Will they be treated fairly? Will they be respected? Can you trust the world with the person you love so much as you open that door? That's the prayer of every person, every parent, every grandparent, black and white throughout this nation. When your child walks out that door, you have enough to fear, you have enough to contend with. The possibility that they may be in an accident, an automobile accident. They may fall victim to an act of crime or hit with a stray bullet from a drive-by shooting from some gangbanger. But in too many neighborhoods in this country, that fear is compounded by the fear that your child may be presumed to be a gang member or a suspect or someone in authority looking at that child and seeing only a profile, not an individual. And you fear what can happen when your grandchild is seen as a threat instead of a great benefit to society. You know that child is going to be. Dr. King wrote, and I quote, "Men often hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they do not know each other. They do not know each other because they cannot communicate. And they cannot communicate because they are separated." We have to bridge that separation, particularly society as a whole, but particularly today between police and the community that exists in some places. In an interview last week, a New York police commissioner who I've known for decades, Bill Bratton, used an expression in an interview on television that I think should be the guiding principle for every effort we undertake to rebuild that trust. It's an expression from the Maasai tribe in Africa. He said he learned it from an African American when he was commissioner in Los Angeles. The expression is simply this: "We see you." That's the expression. We see you. But the question now increasingly is, do we see each other? Do we see each other for who we are? Does the danger we face sometimes prevent the police in your neighborhood from seeing the people they serve? Because there is danger in many neighborhoods around America. Does that fear in the community prevent the community from seeing and engaging with that person behind the badge? The same man or woman who, as you open the door to let your child out the door, kissed his or her child goodbye that morning, not having any idea what they're going to face as they walk out with that badge on. You've embraced me, this community, from the beginning. I mean that sincerely. I literally would not be here were it not for the embrace of the community. I know both sides of this humanity. I know the neighborhoods in this city and this state. It's where I worked as a young man. The Price is Run on the East Side was now Bucket. I served in the communities as a public defender when I started, when the city was occupied. And for 36 years, I was proud to say I was your senator. You'll remember, there wasn't a year, there wasn't a season, There wasn't a time that I wasn't in your neighborhoods or in your churches. Never. But here's my point. Here's my point. I know when I see the decency and the honor and the dignity that exists in each of the communities in this city, they're a reflection of the decency all of you represent. But through that same period of time, I've also worked with thousands of honorable women and men wearing a uniform. The people I grew up with and worked with my entire career. And at times, I've seen in their eyes the uncertainty and fear that comes with being asked to put their lives on the line. Them wondering, who has my back? Who has my back? I recently had the honor of speaking in New York at the funeral of the two officers who were assassinated. I spoke at the funeral of a New York City detective, Rafael Ramos, Puerto Rican. I didn't know him, but it's told that church, the 28,000 police officers outside, I didn't know him, but I knew him. I knew him. He was like most of the courageous and compassionate guys I grew up with in Claymont, the ones who were always there to help. Raphael was an active member of his church, about to be ordained a chaplain. He didn't just keep the Bible in his locker, he kept the Bible in his heart. He was a man of faith, always reaching out to people. He was a former school safety officer who joined the NYPD at age 37. A father, a husband, a son. He joined to serve. I was then welcomed into the home on the other side of town of the other officer assassinated. I spent time in their living room, in his bedroom. Wenjin Liu, a 7-year veteran of the NYPD. He came to these shores from China at the age of 12. He spoke several dialects. He was a newlywed. And his wife, mom, and dad, and family were there. They both wore blue, but they were both minorities. They both were products of the community they lived in. And they knew the sting of being stereotyped. They knew the sting of prejudice. They had families. They had stories. They had a humanity that was denied them by an assassin's bullet, who judged them by the color of the uniform they wore. As Dr. King would say, not the content of their character. So folks, we've got to start seeing one another. We have to recognize that that black male in the corner is also a kid who likes to draw and may turn out to be a great artist someday. We have to recognize that top of the beat is also a mom who plays basketball. It's a responsibility of every community to recognize the humanity of the men and women who volunteered to put on that uniform and go into harm's way to answer the urgent call in the middle of the night in a 2-story walk-up to do the best they can. But it's also the responsibility of every officer who takes on the oath to protect and serve, to respect the dignity of every person that officer encounters. Young, old, male, female, black, white, Hispanic, or Asian. We need to agree in this nation on 2 basic statements of truth. Number 1, cops have a right to go home at night to see their families. And 2, no matter what the neighborhood, have a right to be treated with respect and with dignity. And all life matters, and the fact that all life matters is the reason why they become cops in the first place. They're bad actors in the police departments. They're bad actors in the ministry. There's bad actors in public life. There's bad actors every place you go. But the majority of people are decent. And no one, and here's the point, no one, no matter what their position, what badge they wear, no one is above the law. No one is above the law. There can be no notion of impunity for any individual in society, regardless of the position. Look, there are changes the President and I believe can and should be made. It can help change the way police patrol their often dangerous streets without jeopardizing the safety or security of the community, which is the whole reason to patrol the street in the first place. That's why the President and I have asked Chief Ramsey of Philadelphia to head up a commission. African American community leaders are also on that commission. Law enforcement advocates are on the commission. Advocates and civil society are on that commission. A significant group of young black leaders are on that commission. All to discuss the most compelling issue relating to policing today. That's why Attorney General Holder is convening similar meetings across the nation. And I know this work will continue with our new Attorney General, an African American woman named Loretta Lynch, the daughter of a Baptist minister from Greensboro, North Carolina, who's a first-rate lawyer and prosecutor. Look, we're reaching out to the state, local, and community level to find ways to help with issues like diversity in the ranks and leadership. Ironically, New York City Police Department is now a minority police department, majority-minority police department. We're reaching out for technology like body cameras so everything is recorded, both to protect the citizen as well as the officer. So we know exactly what happened. We're looking for accountability, institutional accountability, that can generate confidence when a judgment is made about the conduct of an officer. It's not a good old boys network that made the judgment. And we're looking at new methods of training, how to respond to dangerous situations without inflaming them, and tactics to control but not inflame difficult situations. And we're looking at genuine community policing. You know, we kind of lost the meaning of that. Some of you remember, I'm the guy, Tommy Gordon helped me back then, he was chief of police of the county. I'm the guy who came up not with the idea, but institutionalized idea, the so-called Biden crime bill, to have community policing. You remember you were a police officer back in those days, Mr. Mayor. What was community policing about? What we found out was from the time I was a kid in the 60s, by the time we got to the 90s, there was no one walking a beat. Everyone in the car going by at 25 miles an hour. The whole idea of community policing was that Maasai saying, "We see you." So you knew me as a cop. That I walked into the storekeep or the corner, he or she knew me and I knew him. As I just came down underneath I-95, that basketball court, there should be cops out there hanging out, talking to those kids playing basketball. In every city in America. So you see me. You know me. and I know you. So when the gangbanger's on the corner, and some lady, older lady living on the corner, knows what's going on, but afraid to call the cops, because she calls the cops, she becomes the victim, because they may find out she called. But if you know the cop, if you have his name, you can call and say, Johnny, they're outside my door. Johnny the cop. And he can take care of it without exposing her. That's what community policing was supposed to be about. And guess what? When it started, it worked. But you know what? It's real expensive. It takes a lot of cops. It takes a lot of cops. In the beginning, we had adequate resources. The so-called fight and crime bill at the time was a pretty expensive operation. You put another 100,000 cops on the street, and it cost $1 billion. But because crime was rampant, everybody signed on. And it worked. Remember the debates we had over on East Lake about this.